Hi there. Okay, so today we're going to be working on a crochet baby romper, and I'm going to be using Bernat premium yarn and a 5mm crochet hook. So this one is going to be for a baby size 3 to 6 months. If you're looking to make a different size, click the link in the description below and it'll redirect you to a size chart page on my website where you can find some other sizing. And if you have a measuring tape handy, you'll be able to still follow along to this pattern just fine, but you'll just need to adjust your starting chain to the size of that you need if you're not doing a 3 to 6 month, and some rows. I will prompt you on when you'll want to take some measurements, okay? So let's get started with our starting chain. All right, so get the loop on the hook there. And we're going to chain 27. So the starting chain is going to be the size that you need for across the back, okay? Across the back or across the chest, whatever you're measuring there, basically just across the width of the size of the back is what you're going to need for the starting chain. So like I said, this starting chain of 27 using this size hook and yarn will give you a size 3 to 6 months. If you're doing a different size, click the link in the description below so you can measure your starting chain to make sure that you are meeting the size requirements across the back measurement, okay? So let's start with our 27 chain. So you're going to yarn over your hook and just pull through that loop. Yarn over and pull through the loop. So you're just going to keep on going until you reach 27. So you can pause the video, chain 27, and then come back. Okay, so now that you have your chain, we are going to begin doing a seed stitch. So what you're going to do is in the second chain from the hook, so here's your first chain, in the second chain here, we're going to do a double crochet. So yarn over your hook, push it right through that second chain, yarn over and pull up a loop. So now you have 3 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over and pull through the first 2, yarn over and pull through the next 2, and that's a double crochet. In the second stitch, you're going to do a single crochet. So you're just going to push the hook right through the chain, yarn over and pull up a loop. So now you have 2 loops on your hook. You're just going to yarn over and pull right through both. In this next one, we're going to do another double crochet. And in the following, we'll do another single crochet. And this is called a seed stitch. It's just alternating. It's a 2-row repeat pattern, but you're alternating between double crochet, single crochet, double crochet, single crochet. So you're going to go ahead and continue on with alternating between double crochets and single crochets all the way down, and then come back when you get to the end of the row. Okay, so now that you've reached the end of the row, you're going to chain 2 and turn your work. So now what we're going to do, like I said, it's a 2-row repeat for the seed stitch. So we've just finished doing an entire row of alternating between double crochet and single crochet. The second row of the 2-row repeat is going to be the same, the only difference being you are going to be working a single crochet in all of your double crochets and from the previous row, and a double crochet in all of the single crochets from the previous row. Okay, so we just ended that row with a single crochet. So now we're going to start this next one with a double crochet. So you're going to yarn over. You know how to do double crochets by now after doing all those. And basically, you're just going to continue on with this until you reach either, if you're working on 3 to 6 months, so sorry, let me clarify. When I say you're going to continue working on this, you're going to continue with this 2-row repeat. So basically all it means is you're going to keep on carrying on with this exact same pattern, alternating between double crochet, single crochet, double crochet, single crochet. But you are going to always make sure that you're working a double crochet in a single crochet from the previous row and a single crochet in the double crochet from the previous row. You're going to keep on doing that until you have reached either a total of 16 rows, that's including this one, so 15 more rows, if you're following my pattern exactly for an age 3 to 6 month size romper, or you're going to continue this until you reach the measurement you need by referring to the size chart in the link in the description below that I've given you. So right now, so this that you've just completed is the width of the back. Okay, now you're working on the length, and you're gonna need the length to the waist. Okay, not the full length of the entire romper. Right now you're just working on the back of the romper, the back portion. So you're going to keep this size all the way down until you, actually, sorry, it's the back and waist is all the same size. It's that little diaper area, the hips and the bum is what's going to get a little wider. Okay, so just look at the measurement that you need for back and waist all the way. You're going to continue this on. Like I said, if you're following my pattern exactly, that will be 16 rows, okay? And then come back and I will show you how to increase for the bottom portion of the romper. Okay, so now that you've got the top portion finished, we need to make it a little wider as we go down and finish off. So because from the hips down over the diaper area, obviously it needs to be a little bit wider. And what I like to do, so for this, just to try and simplify it as well, for those of you that are working on a different size than the 3 to 6 month, I just want to clarify how you should do your measuring from this point, because obviously, as you see on the size chart, that size chart doesn't exactly cover the hips to diaper area necessarily, okay? So, which is obviously important for a romper. First thing to make note of when you're looking at this particular pattern, this is not for a fitted diaper shirt kind of a romper. This is a more loose fitted, almost like puffy, fluffy kind of looking romper, okay? So what I've done is, for example, in this, the top portion, I have done a total of 16 rows. But for the bottom portion, it will be 21 rows. So the rule of thumb is however many rows that you completed for your top portion, if you're doing 3 to 6 months like mine, it's simple. Just go ahead and after I show you how to increase, you're just going to do 21 rows of this next amount that I'm showing you. For those of you that are working on a different size, all you're going to do is however many rows you did at the beginning for this top portion, you're going to do that same amount of rows plus 5. Okay, so the same amount of rows that you did on the top portion plus 5 is what you're going to do for the bottom portion. So let me show you how to go ahead and increase. So you've chained 2 and turn your work. We are going to work 2. We're still following the same seed stitch, alternating stitch with single, double, okay? But in the first 3 stitches and in the last 3 stitches of this row, we are going to do 2 stitches in each. So to help your pattern fall into place and maintain the look of your stitch, whatever your very last stitch was in your previous row is the one you're going to start with, because it will make it fall into place. So that is the only part that kind of gets a little confusing, because up until now, obviously you've been starting your next row with the opposite stitch of whatever you ended the last one with. And this one, we're starting our next row with the same stitch that we ended the last one with. So I ended with a single crochet. I'm going to start with a single crochet, and just have a look and watch and you'll see the way it falls into place. So I'm going to do a single crochet in that first stitch. And now I'm going to do a double crochet in the very same stitch. Okay, because in that one, it should have been a double crochet anyway. Okay, now over here, I'm going to do a single crochet a double crochet. Let me just grab a little more yarn here. And in the third stitch, again, single crochet, double crochet. And now is where you're going to continue on with 1 stitch in each of the following, except for the last 3. The last 3 you're going to finish off with 2 in each. All right, and here it falls into place already because this is a double crochet from the previous row and I'm working a single. Okay, and now you're going to just continue on, do 1 stitch in every single one all the way down except for the last 3. You're going to do 2 stitches in each of the last 3 in this row, chain 2, turn your work and come back. So now you can see where it's starting to get wider. Okay, it might not look like much right now, but as you go, you'll begin to see. I'll show you the other side of mine that I've already done. Okay, and this is what you're going to begin to see. So this is my top portion, and you can see the bottom portion, how it gets wider all the way down. Okay, and if I fold it completely in half right there at the increase mark, okay, you can see that's about what it should look like when you're finished the bottom portion. Okay, a little bit longer in the second portion. So I just like to use the rule of thumb of whatever the top portion, the amount of rows that you had done, plus 5. Okay, so, and the way to know if you're on track with your stitches, for those of you that like to keep track of your stitch count, so anyone that's following my pattern exactly, you should now have 32 stitches across. Okay, and you should be working your 32 stitches, following your seed stitch. Now, when you do, I want to make note of something, okay? So that none of you guys start freaking out and keep on pulling out your work and wondering what happened and where you might have gone wrong. As you're working down this row, you might feel like you're a little off at some parts. Maybe not. But if you do, don't worry about it. Just get through this row and make sure that as this row that you're about to do, just make sure that you're following doing your single, double, single, double, single, double. And then from the next one onward, it's going to totally be back to normal, falling into place. This increased row might have just thrown you off a little bit, but I promise you it is not going to change the look of your romper, so don't worry about it. So go ahead and finish those rows along the bottom there and then come back. And I'll show you how to move on to the next step. Okay, so now that you've finished working on the front and the back of your romper, you're going to line up the edges like this, one on top of the other. Push your hook through. You're going to reattach yarn starting up here, which I'll show you how to do in a minute. But you're going to push your hook through both sides. Make sure you're getting it through both sides. You're going to take your yarn and then just pull it through chain 1. Now working all the way down the entire side, you're going to evenly secure a seam, doing single crochets all the way down. Okay, so keep doing that all the way down until you get to the end and then come back. Okay, so now that you've closed that seam all the way down and you're at the end here, you're just going to pull out a tail end like this. Fasten it off with a pair of scissors and pull that right through. We'll hide that later. You're going to flip over your work, and then on this side, you're just going to do the very same thing. Reattach your yarn at the top here and close it all the way down till you get to the bottom here, doing single crochets and fasten it off, and then come back and I'll show you what to do for the next step. Okay, so now that you have finished closing the seams on both sides, we are going to go ahead and start working on the leg hole. Okay, if you fastened off here, don't get upset, it's okay. You can reattach the yarn right here in on either side, whatever, but we're going to start from the outer corner of your work here. So we're going to begin with a chain 1. Okay, and now what we're going to do is working in, now it's a little hard to see because the yarn is a bit dark, so okay. I'll show you like this. we're going to do half double crochets in the first 10 stitches. Sorry, working from here. So the first 10 stitches going this way. So you're going to yarn over your hook, push it into the stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop. You've got 3 stitches on your hook. You're going to yarn over and pull right through all 3. Okay, so that's 1, 2, and you're going to keep on going through 10 stitches total, doing half double crochets, and then come back. Okay, so now that you've gone and done your half double crochets in 10 stitches, going into this other side here, so you want to make sure that it's lined up well. You can even count from this side here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 to make sure it lines up evenly. Push your hook right through and just slip stitch to connect it. Flip your work over so that now what you're going to be doing, and you're not going to chain or anything. It's a little awkward to get going from here because the way, I don't know if you noticed that, but for me it's just feels a little awkward. We're just going to yarn over and just continue right on down with your half double crochets. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So pull that little tail end there. Okay, we're just going to do our 10th stitch right in here. 10. Okay. Now you're back in that little corner where you started, and you got to find your little chain 1 space. Okay, and close with a slip stitch. Chain 1, and then you're just going to go ahead. I just want to show you the little leg hole there. Okay, so now it's like a clean leg hole, and you're just going to do your half double crochets all the way around again, close with a slip stitch, fasten it off. You're going to come over here, reattach your yarn in this corner, do another leg hole, and then come back. Okay, so now that you've finished both leg holes, you're going to reattach your yarn on the inside of one of them. Okay, just going to take your hook, push it right through both sides, because obviously we have to close up here. And you're going to attach with a slip, just pulling it through, sorry, and do a chain 1. And then we're just going to do single crochets, just like what we did to close the seam up along the sides. So go ahead and just do your single crochets evenly all the way across to the inner portion of the other leg hole. And you'll just close with a slip stitch, fasten off, and then come back. So now it's starting to get really exciting because you can see your romper completely taking shape here. It's looking beautiful. So what we're going to do is using a yarn needle. Let me just grab one quick. Okay, so using your yarn needle, sorry, using your yarn needle here, you are just going to go ahead and hide and secure all of your loose tail ends that you've got lying around this project just by weaving them in and out of the stitches. And like I said, this just hides them and secures your work just that little bit better. Okay, and it doesn't have to be, you know, so much. Just like that. Fasten it off. And go ahead and do that for all the tail ends, and then come back and I will show you how to finish off with the straps. Okay, so now that you finished hiding all the tail ends in your romper, we're gonna go ahead and make 4 straps. They're little like tie straps for the top of your romper. So here's how it's gonna look. And what I did to make this, let me get my yarn here to show you, is, so I did a chain first. Let's back that up a little bit. Okay, so you're going to go ahead and do a chain of 35. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So go ahead and do 35 chains and then come back. Okay, so now that you finished doing a chain of 35, in the second chain from the hook, you're going to do a slip stitch. And you're just going to go ahead and do slip stitches all the way down the entire chain. So once you finish doing a slip stitch in each chain all the way down, come back. Okay, so once you finish doing your slip stitches all the way down your chain, you're going to pull a bit of a longer tail end, not too long or anything, and then go ahead and fasten that off. Whoops. Then what you're going to want to do is just measure in from the very edge seam, and it should be about 2 inches in, that you'll go ahead and attach your shoulder straps just like this. It's a little bit awkward, I hope you can see. All I'm doing is just sticking my hook in the very same space, but on opposite sides so that it can pull through like this. Okay. And make sure you have it folded over here so it's on the, you want to make sure everything ends up on the inside here, because right now you're looking at your work inside out. All I'm doing is just tying it in a knot to secure it. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and take my yarn needle, and just like what we did with all the loose tail ends, I'm just going to go ahead and weave this in and out of the stitches going down to hide it and secure it. And then what you're going to do is repeat that, so make sure it's lined up, so you add another tie here, and then measure in 2 inches on this side, attach a tie, so 4 ties, and do the same thing with the tail ends, and then come back. Okay, so now that you're done doing all of your tie straps, you can flip the romper to be the right way, because like I said, you've been looking at it inside out this whole time while you're working on it. So you can flip it around to reveal your finished product.